So we're going to continue on creating with this April 2023 All the Little Things kit. And I'm going to make for you today a scrapbook page layout, another card, a tip. I'm going to share a tip with you. And I'm going to show you a creative card that I received from a friend. I'll be using a few extra supplies as I share. You can find these items listed below and linked to my online store. You can also find links for information regarding paper pumpkin kits, for starting your subscription, for my blog post that will be linked to today's projects, and for my April 20th blog post that is linked to the April 19th video showing the other cards that I made. Now, if you don't have this April kit, or you've used it all up by now, I'm hoping that you'll be able to adapt what you see to the products that you do have. So let's get started. I think I'll share with you tips first, just in case you still have your box. So your box this month came with a packet of some unique stuff. These are little separators. So you take and pull them out of the bag. And you've got two different sizes here. You have 3 of the long ones and 5 of the shorter ones. And these are to create little dividers so that your box can turn into a fun storage container, either for those tiny little ink spots that come with every kit, or you could put other things in there, glue, spools of twine, that sort of thing, or you could use it for jewelry for that matter. You can use it for anything. So these are the little dividers, and what you'll want to do is these go in one direction and these go in the opposite direction when you connect them together. You can see here is like the little part that shows that this is the top, although you could put it on the bottom, that's fine, but this is the top because your box tends to go outward when it goes up. And so then you've got your connector piece on the top of these and the bottom of those. You'll just put them together like that. And then if you find as you're connecting these pieces that they're really hard to hold onto, oops, let's move that one over a bit. So you're trying to hold on to all of them and they're starting to fall out, right? So here's my tip for you. Place them in there and then angle it. See how I'm doing this now? I'm angling it to the side so that they're all kind of flat against each other. And they're much easier to hold. So you can get all of these pieces in there like that. And once you've got them in, then you put them inside the box carefully and spread them back out. Oh, and then I hit it against something. Hang on. My box hit my little stand where I have my microphone. Craziness. Okay, now you can come in and you can connect the rest of them pretty easily. And as long as you have 2 connected and you've got everything straight, then the third one is, gosh, so much easier to shimmy in there. And now you have a place to store your inks. And if you've collected lots of inks over time, you can stack 2 ink spots within every little tray here. Now, if you want to get kind of crazy, you can connect them in interesting ways and fit all kinds of odds and ends inside your kit. So, just a little tip for you if you're going to be adding that to your box. Another thing that I wanted to share is a card that I received from my friend Lisa. This is called a lattice tent card. So you can see here's the lattice part of it. It looks like a place where you would have flowers growing up, right? Those gardeners out there love this idea. And then the way that it folds, you can see the base here. It's still 1/2 sheet, but it has 2 score lines that connect in the middle. And these little strips are just attachment pieces. They're all 1/2 inch wide by, let's see here, well, 4 1/4 in that direction. And these are slightly smaller. They are 3 1/2. So if you wanted to remake something like that. And inside here, she had, oh, then I gotta show you how to fold it and hold it up. So it looks like, it's like an easel card, but it has that lattice look to it. So it's called a lattice tent card. And she sent to me some confetti tan cardstock, which is retired. It's a long time ago this cardstock was around, but she had some on hand. Obviously, she made her card base with it too. Very pretty. Thank you so much, Lisa. You're so kind. Okay, we're going to dive into our first card, and our first card is going to be involving this piece, although you won't see any leaves on this card at all. we're actually going to use these guys here. So these guys look like duck heads, don't they? There's a ton of them in the kit that actually, the little pieces that get punched out, they look like little heads of ducks. So I started taking my markers, and I took the brush end of the marker, and I'll just show you on this piece here. I just started coloring, right, with the pink color, which is more orangey. It's petal pink. And I just made little beaks on my card. And then I realized that, hello, the Layering Leaves stamp set has a stamp image in it, the one that fills in the leaves. And this is perfect. So if you don't trust your drawing, you can take and mount this stamp onto a clear block, and we'll pull in our petal pink ink, and we'll stamp onto our duck heads. You can use this one, this one, this one, any of the outside ones. I'm going to use the smallest, and I'm just inking up that leaf that's on the end there. And you're going to come in like so and stamp it. And now you have your little beak on your duck. It's perfect. You can do it on all your ducks. Here's another duck. And there we go. Perfect little beaks. Aren't they cute? Then I took our black Stampin' Write marker, and I used the fine tip end, which these are our new markers. It's like a little bullet tip now that writes real fine. And I just added eyes to all of my ducks. I had some extra green card bases, and you're going to be horrified what I did here. I cut 2 of them down because I ran out of blue. So I wanted that look of the gradient look, you know, dark to light. And the blue looked great on the first card, which you're going to see in a minute. And then I thought, okay, green will work because the ducks can be walking on the grass or whatever. So this is my scene. It's going to be smaller than the full card. So yes, just forgive me for that. Now we're going to do our base. Our base is going to be a half of a sheet of cardstock. So we're going to cut at 5.5 inches, and then we're going to fold it at 4 1/4 and 2 1/8. So we're scoring it down the middle at 4 1/4, and then scoring this section down the middle at 2 1/8 inches. We're going to kind of do a Z fold like that. And then we will take and use our bone folder to give it all a good crease. So these green layers from the card bases are going to become layers like that inside of our card. And then I wanted those pieces to stand out because otherwise they blend too much into the card base, especially down here. So I cut slightly larger basic black pieces because we're going to be using black ink. And these measure 3 5/8 by 4 7/8. And now they just stand out a little bit more that way. Let's stamp on this one. I'm going to be using black ink, like I said, and we'll use, let's use that stamp set, Layering Leaves again. And let's stamp the Sending Hugs. We'll stamp that onto the inside of the 2 layers. Watch to make sure it's as centered as you can get it. Obviously, I didn't do too well, but it's close enough. And we want to have some room up here because we also want to use a stamp from the kit that has kind of a branch look to it. And we're going to stamp that coming down from the top just a little bit as if there's trees coming into the scene. Let's stamp this one with more of those branches. More stamping to do. Almost put the ink away. We have one more, and we're going to stamp our thank you so much onto this label piece from the kit. And now we'll just focus on these 2 layers for a minute. On the back side of the thank you so much, we're going to add some adhesive right along that bottom border, and we'll add this piece here so it's slightly centered, like so. This is going to go up on dimensionals, The dimensionals do come in the kit, but you can get some also from the online store. We're just going to put like 3 closer to the bottom middle of this piece. So it's still stable, but it has room for tucking some ducks. For duck tucking. Okay, and this will go along, and I'm using my grid paper just to kind of straighten everything and look at it accurately. And we'll put this along the bottom left of our first panel so that it tucks out a little bit, sticks out a little bit here, and it's about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. Oh, you know what? Don't do that yet. Hang on, we got to add ribbon. We got to add the ribbon. Sorry. Grab some ribbon. All right, we have about, let's measure it. It's a little over 12 inches. I'd say 13 would be safe. And then we're going to tie that into a knot. I tie all my bows with, I've trained one of my fingers, my ring finger, to hold down in the middle. And that way I don't have to put any adhesive underneath, and I can adjust my bows after. You know what? I want to do one thing though. I want to tie in the other direction. Tying in the other direction will make the strands of my ribbon go the other way. Okay, so like that, and then I'm going to tie one more time right over left. I did right over left, and then I usually do left over right, but this time I want to do it like that. Doesn't make it look as pretty in the middle, but it doesn't matter. Okay, then we're going to shift it. You can shift it, you can curve your cardstock to shift, but we want this very far to the right. And I think I want it about 1.25 inches from the bottom. And then we'll go ahead and trim. Okay, next we can add this piece, and we'll just tuck that side, straighten everything out again. Tuck that right underneath that section of the ribbon. It's about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. And if you have to, shimmy your ribbon, but I wanted to make sure that we get the knot outside of that. We don't want it to be bulky underneath. So there is that layer, and we have room for tucking our ducks. So let's take our first duck, and I accidentally did double the ducks because I have lots of scraps in my kit. These two are the same. They come from the same piece. So we're going to take one of them out of there. I think I want this one out of there. And I'm replacing it with this one. So if you only have one of those leaf layers left and you've punched out all of the insides, you should be able to come up with those 4 ducks. Now I'll take my glue. I think it's easiest to glue these because they're so skinny. And this is the multi-purpose liquid glue. I just put it into a skinny little container. And I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to tuck this duck right here so that he looks, or she looks, the tallest. And then there's another duck that looks like it needs a little hug. Sending duck hugs. This one needs to be placed right next to it, I think. Right in that spot. So it looks like they're hugging. These two will come down here. And I've placed them off the edge a bit because they do have curved bottoms to them. We want the bottoms to be straight, so then you can just cut them to meet that edge. All right, and now we can add some flowers. So our flowers are our next step. With this one, I want it to kind of sit off the edge of this sentiment piece. So I'm going to stick this dimensional right here and pull that off. Add a little bit of adhesive behind. I think I want this side here. I want the metallic to be in and the Calypso coral color to be out more. So we'll go like that. And then this one we'll just add, and you could use the glue instead for these. I want that one to be up there. On my original card, I did have my sending hugs a little bit further down. I think when I was stamping this, I was worried that it would be too blended into the shaded spruce because this is such a dark color, but it tends to work. Let's set these aside and let's work on how you're going to add them to the inside of your card. So with the Z-fold card and 2 layers that are exact same size, you want the top layer to cover the bottom layer. So you need to add the bottom layer first, and we'll center that one. So we'll look at all the edges, center that card, and now this one's going to sit on top, and it's only got a half of a piece of a card here to adhere to. So we're going to put adhesive along this edge so that it doesn't go outside the black. In fact, we can add just a little bit more down here. And then we can put some behind this edge here. But don't put any adhesive on that side. And then you just line up the black. So you look at the black that's already underneath it, and you line it all up. There we go. And now we have our Z-fold ready for the additional pieces. And when you open this card, you're able to see both the outside and the inside. The beauty of a Z-fold card, I love it, because that way your inside of your card can share the fun, right? So here is our thank you so much, Sending Duck Hugs card. Here is the first one that I made with the blue layers that are already cut to size, but I ran out of those blue layers. So I'm curious, which one do you like better? Do you like it when they're in the grass, or do you like it when they're in the water? Okay, there you can see them both a little bit better. So yes, in the comments, let me know which one you prefer. And the last project is going to be a 2-page 12 by 12 scrapbook spread. We're going to be using the Vellum Basics specialty paper, and you could choose, there's 3 different patterns in there. I'm choosing the one that has leaves on it. I'm a leaf fan. You can see that I did have some of these left over, yes, but I had been saving them for my scrapbook page. In fact, I had 2 of them, and we're going to cut one right down the middle, cut it in half. That would give you 1 3/4 by 4 and 4 3/4 piece. 2 of those. Then we're also going to use some envelopes that are left. So I've got 4 of them that we're going to use. This one just has its flap tucked in. We'll use a couple flaps that I've cut off for other projects that I've made. Some balmy blue cardstock, which is the matching blue. And I've got a ton of these flowers left over. Bringing in some blending brushes. We're going to be using the twine that comes in the kit, and then some ink colors here. So Granny Apple Green, Calypso Coral, Shaded Spruce, Tuxedo Black. May add some more things, but we'll get started. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start inking up our background paper. So I forgot to mention, we're using basic white 12 by 12 cardstock. And we're inking that up so that our vellum shows through better. When you have darker colors underneath vellum that has a print to it, you can really see that print. So we want to take and do a multicolor background here. You could use a designer paper instead if you don't have to. Oh, my fingers are very inky. You could use designer paper if you don't have time to do any coloring on your own, or just use a darker sheet if you prefer. But I really wanted to try this technique. So we're going to use blending brushes and some ink. And I think what will help is if we sort of imagine or even lay out where our photos are going to be. So if we've got, and we'll just move this aside here because we're not going to ink on that. But if we've got a photo down in this corner, another one, pretend the flap is tucked in down in this corner, sort of like that. And then we've got our 2 strips going across like so. And then we've got some flaps that we're going to kind of connect and angle. There we go. They kind of connect like this to make a square. Oh, we'll just fold that in. There we go. So we're going to connect them like that, and that's going to create a little square in this spot. And then our balmy blue will go there. Okay, so you kind of see where that layout's going. And let's take a bunch of flowers and just kind of tuck them in this spot. And we can always adjust as we go. We'll put another one there. So now you can see that we don't have to put ink all over the page. If we're putting ink underneath the photos, it's kind of a waste of time, right? If we're putting under here or the strip or whatever, it's a waste of time. So sort of map out what you want to do. Imagine. And if it helps, you can kind of put Post-it notes here and there. So let's take and put a Post-it note up in this corner, maybe right in this spot, and another one kind of right here. And that'll show that we don't need to go in this area, but we want to go beyond. And we'll go a little outside of everything. And then here is the corner of one of our photos. And we'll put the corner of another one kind of in there and here. So we're just kind of, you know, making a plan. We're making a plan. Now we do want some white space. So I left like corners and a few edges here and there exposed. You know, it looks very busy, doesn't it? Oh, and another thing is if you have a really, really dark spot when you're blending, start underneath where you're not going to see it, or start off, you know, off the edge like I did down here with these colors. But that darkness is actually going to benefit you because you're going to really be able to see the leaves. See how the leaves just come out in those areas now? So I'm going to go ahead and attach my pieces to the vellum, and then we're going to flip the vellum over and put the adhesive on the back side of that too. As I'm gluing them down, I'm using the help of my grid paper. I'm keeping the vellum right on top of that white as accurately as I can. You can see my ruler, or you know, you can even use just a straight edge like a cardstock strip or something. But I've got this lined up with the top line here, and my ruler is right along the top line of this half of the blue layer, which starts at this piece here. So I know that my other little piece is going to start right at that spot on the other side. And then we just want to make sure it's straight. And I cut off a little bit. I think I cut off like a 2 1/4 inches from this one, because if it's going to be tucked under there, why have it there? I connected those already. I've connected these. Let's go ahead and add the flower pieces now. Now that we have that all lined up with the paper and we can see that our coloring is right, let's go ahead and tuck these. And you don't want to adhere things all the way down, Rachel. Okay, so we can add that in that spot. It looks like it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be kind of hidden. Oh well, that's okay. Okay, and we got to keep it inside the lines of the vellum. And this one will be tucked underneath a bit. Oops. And then it'll go. Oh my goodness, I'm using really strong adhesive, obviously. The seal is good stuff. And then we'll have the leaves. Actually, I think I had it this way, didn't I? I don't remember. Let me look. I've got a photo of it. Nope, I had it that way. Okay, let's go like this. Oh yeah, because we're going to have a title on there. See, Rachel creates as she goes. Okay, so we're going to put a title here, and we're going to use our black ink. And I'm using just some regular Scotch tape. You could use washi tape or something, but I'm covering up the I'm and the you do. We're going to ink up this stamp in the black ink. My hands are really getting inky today. We'll ink that up, and then we'll peel off. This is the important step. We'll peel off the tape from those two sections, making sure that they don't get on your fingers. And then we'll stamp "Grateful for the Little Things" onto this title piece. I think I'll stick it up higher. Yay! It worked. Okay. Then a couple things I want to point out. This one, remember I tucked the flap into one of the envelopes? So that becomes a pocket. If you want to put, I wouldn't put this one in there because we're going to use it somewhere else, but if you want to put some paper in there or some nostalgic something or other in there, you could. And then I've got dimensionals on the back side of this 4x4 piece of what's the name of it? Balmy Blue. We've had so many blues. Okay, So we're going to put that there, and that just makes it, it gives it a shadow, so it allows it to really stand out a little bit more. And then I cut the flap off of this one. You wouldn't have to, you could make another side pocket, but might as well save that for some other cards, right? All right, let's mount this onto our white. And the trick for doing that, oops, wrong white, the one that we colored. The trick for doing that is to make sure it's going the right direction. First of all, see how those leaves really stand out? They just look so much better now. The trick for doing that is basically going wherever you can behind the vellum. You want to get into all of those little nooks and corners. Oops, running out of adhesive. Put some through here. Okay, so we've got plenty of adhesive along the back side, and now we just line it up with our cardstock that we've colored on. I think my vellum is slightly smaller, so I'm going to see a little bit of edge of color on the four sides. That's okay. All right, so for the second page, I'm going to do something similar, but I'm not going to use this whole piece of white. Instead, I'm going to do some tearing. And you know what, before I tear, let's go ahead and cut the envelope flaps, because I think I'm done with my pockets. I just wanted that one. And then we'll lay these where we want them, and then we'll be able to decide where we want to have our torn edge. This is going to be like a journaling place, or you could put another photo there if you want to. We'll just add that in that spot. This one can come up and through like that. Maybe we'll put it up a little higher. Okay, I have a plan, and it's actually kind of the opposite of what I just shared with you. Well, not total opposite, but we're just doing a little torn edge all the way down. And we'll do some inking like we had on this sheet. So where the red is, or I'm sorry, it looks red, where the Calypso Coral, where the Calypso Coral is, we're going to add some down right next to it on the matching page. And we'll do the same thing with the other colors. A lot of my regular viewers are probably getting a kick out of how messy my hands are getting. So I've got my colors flowing from the other page. I've got these right next to each other, placing my vellum down, and I've put some adhesive behind this piece. This is that one that we cut off. And that's just going to continue the flow of color into the next page. And I've rearranged where I'm putting those pieces. So let's take and add this to the page just to keep it in place. And then we can lift it and add more adhesive afterwards. Okay, these are in place. Now we're going to lay out, I should say, other pieces. And I thought it would flow better if I kind of switched out, you know, I had them the opposite way and now I've switched them. So there, now we just have to glue these down. I've cut off the flaps on these, so I think I'll just start adhering. And I made sure that I didn't put adhesive under this section because you want to be able to tuck your photo under there. And there are our finished pages. I love them, love them, love them. I added a few other rhinestones from the kit in there, so they're kind of flowing like that, like the flowers are. Of course, I've got the twine on there too. And then when you add the photos, it's just going to look spectacular. And then here are the cards. I hope that you enjoyed what I shared. Thank you so much for watching. It builds creativity to think outside the box. Be sure that you're subscribed to my YouTube channel so that you can watch more paper pumpkin videos that I've shared using past kits and more that I'll share with future kits. Also, be sure to visit my website at stampyourartout.com so that you can view close-up photos of these projects, see photos of other paper pumpkin kit ideas, and see many other great ideas that I share using Stampin' Up! Product. If you're watching my video on YouTube, look for links in my video description below. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Now I'd like you all to go and stamp your art out. Bye-bye, everyone.